Alvin, good to see you. Warren, what do you think Buddy has given you guys this season? How do you think it compares to?
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. I was trying to ask, what has Buddy given you this season? How's that compare to the previous year?
Oh, I think he's, I mean, obviously he's a great shooter, great three-point shooter. I think, he's trying to get better in other areas of his game, the ball handling part and things like that. But, he shot the ball fairly well. And, obviously that's what he's here for. And that's, that's the strong suit. So we try to put him in those situations where he can be successful. But, I think it's been just like our season. It's been kind of, he's been kind of up and down.
How does he take that next step?
Oh, I just think he can continue to work. I mean, he's a hard worker, and he shows up every day and gives you everything that he has. And, he continued to work on his game. So I think as long as he does that, he'll continue to improve.
Jamie?
The Clippers have Luke Kennard, who's similar to Buddy Hield, is a great three-point shooter off the bench. How do you prepare your team defensively for a player like Kennard?
I'm assuming the same way that they would compare against for Buddy. You try to be there on the catch. Obviously, you don't want them catching and shooting without pressure there or in their airspace and stuff. And that's the way we try to play Luke. He's a really good shooter. He shoots it quickly. So when he catches the basketball, you want to be in his airspace immediately and try to make him put the ball down.
Any other questions in the room? Go ahead.
What's going on now? When you look at what the Clippers have done well defensively, what are you concerned with, and how do you kind of go about trying to attack it tonight?
Well, they're a very good defensive team. They've got length, they've got quickness, they've got size. I think one of the more underrated players, not in the league, really, is Terrence Mann and what he does defensively. He's a multiple position guy. He can guard really 1 through 4, and he keeps the pressure on you. And in general, they're a good, solid defensive team. Paul George, and when you think about the other guys that they can stick out there, Zubac has been pretty good as a defender. So, you have to keep the floor spread and play in space against these guys, and you have to play up tempo because once they get their half-court defense set, they're a really good, solid defensive team.
Go ahead.
You've had a lot of experience taking over a team, whether it's 20 games in, 40 games in. What's one thing that you've learned over all those times that you can rely on to help you kind of bridge the gap from moving over as an assistant to now the head coach?
I think the big thing is that, it's pretty tough to change a lot of things when you're, 15, 20 games into the season. You can do it, but it's going to take a long time and a major part of the season to try to get in what you would basically like to do. So I've always tried to take what is there and try to get better at the things that we have already in place. I think that's the main thing that you can do. And then you can subtly change a few things. But for the most part, you got to just try to get them better at what was already implemented, and they're already on the books as far as offense and defense, and try to make sure that they're improving in those areas.
How much of that offense was yours already versus what
some of it, but a lot of it was stuff that I had to learn also coming there. And, I like the things that we run. I thought we got a lot of good things that we can do, options that we can handle out of it. We just got to get better and more consistent at what we're doing with it.
We'll take a few more in the room. Go ahead.
Forgive me if I'm wrong, but I believe you and Ty Lue crossed paths here in the 2014 season.
That is correct. Yeah.
Just what have you seen from him as a coach over the years, and what makes him unique?
Number one, I think he's got an unbelievable feel for the game. I think he's a good people person, and I mean player person, where he can be stern with them, he can discipline them, but they also know that they can come to him for anything. just a good person, but really have a really good knowledge of basketball. And I think that his demeanor on the sideline is very helpful to the guys because they know that he's there and they can play freely. I think that's the big thing. If you're a coach and your guys can play freely, which they do in his case. And I think that's why he's such a good coach. If you see what he's done with the teams that he's had and the results of what has happened. If you look at Cleveland and, they just happened to run into a Golden State team that at the time was as good and had as good a run as anybody for those 4 or 5 years. But, they were there, constantly in the finals playing against them. And he did something that has never been done in coaching ever. And that's to come back from down 3-1 in the NBA finals. So that should tell you a lot about, kind of who he is and what he is and what he is as a coach.
And kind of following up on that, obviously, like you had all the success you had in Cleveland, but for him to come here last year, his first year, Clippers to the Western Conference Finals, if anybody had any doubt that he was as good as he is, do you think his tenure here is kind of?
Well, you would hope so. I mean, all the things that he's accomplished in such a short time should speak volumes to the quality of coach that he is and the way that he relates to players, because obviously he doesn't have the same players here that he had in Cleveland. Different players, different personality, a little bit different style of play. So obviously he can adjust to situations, and the guys accomplish a lot in such a short time as a coach. So I think his work speaks for itself, I think.
All right. Any others? Okay. Avery, go ahead on the Zoom.
All right, let's go ahead and start with Sean Cunningham.
Hey, Coach. I was just wondering about you had some comments last night, obviously coming off that second half. I was just kind of trying to get your sense of maybe how those comments you feel landed with your team.
Oh, I mean, I said what I thought, and it wasn't taking shots at the team. It's taking shots at all of us. I mean, when I say that, I'm including myself in there too. As a coach, I'm responsible for having them prepared to play and the way they play, and so I take as much of a responsibility of that as anybody.
James Hound.
Yeah, Alvin, did you go back and watch that film all the way through? And what was it that, if you did, what was it that you saw in the third quarter that really stood out when the game slipped out of your grasp?
The main thing that I saw is that we manufactured pretty good shots really when I went back and looked at it, and just didn't make those shots. And if you're not going to make shots, you got to be able to lock in defensively. And where we struggled the most is that there was a stretch in there where they scored on 11 straight possessions, and so. You either have to be locked in defensively and to be able to combat those kind of runs, or you got to be able to make shots. And it was kind of a perfect storm. We missed some open shots that could have worked out for us. And, they were able to score, like I said, in the consecutive possessions 11 times. That's going to put you behind the 8 ball every time.
Jason.
Hey, Alvin, to follow up on Sean's question, just about kind of the team's response, not just to your comments last night, but, Rashawn's and Tristan's in the past. Are you seeing any signs that that there's going to be a response, that these messages are landing, or do you feel like that's an open question still?
Well, I think it's an open question, but we have responded. As I said, the thing that I think is bothering us mostly right now is the consistency that we're playing with. I thought the first half might have been one of our best first halves of basketball that we played this year. And then the third quarter, obviously, we didn't do the same things that we did to get a 9-point lead at the half. So we got to find a way to, as I said, be consistent in what we're doing and understand and know what we're going to get every night, rather we making shots or not making shots.
right, Tony.
Yeah, Coach Gentry, just want your defense has last night you gave up 62 points in the paint, and in that Memphis game you gave up a high number of points in the paint as well. But just why is that happening, and what can you do to stop that from continuing occurring?
I tell you, one of the things that we can do is stop turning the ball over. We had you talk about points in the paint. When you have 20 turnovers for 24 points, it's not so much your main defense. It's how do you combat that when teams are in the open court, when you have live turnovers, that add to the to the points in the paint, it add to the fast break points, it add to all of that. So it's a little bit deceptive when you look at that and you say, boy, they gave up a ton of points in the paint. If we're turning the ball over and they're landing in the basket, those counts as points in the paint, and it's not just a half court where they're pounding the ball inside or something.
All right, we'll go ahead and finish up with the last question of Brandon.
Hey, Alvin, sorry if I missed this. I was just curious, is there any update on Maurice Harkless's status? And if so, if he's available, will he be in the starting lineup?
He will not be available tonight. He's been ruled out. So, and HB is day to day, and Marvin is still under the weather, not anything COVID related, but just a little sick, so.